a band that treat me like a dog. Well, I get them filling rooms. We set up in the afternoon. It walks in pretty cool. It just goes on. And his drive against the car. And as soon as the last track starts, he walks out with my girlfriend on his arm. Now she is living with a DJ. I'm still waiting to get paid. I'm due in court on Monday to get back my van, 'cause it got towed away. Life is so unfair. People say they do, but it seems they just don't care. Gotta stop what's going on, or we're all gonna get replaced before too long. I have been replaced by a DJ. He doesn't do things same as me. But I think I caught him looping. And if I'm right, it seems he's gonna be paying me. Well, my girlfriend called this morning. She says he's lost the plot. She says he's so unfaithful, spends more than he's got. She says the beat gets boring, it's tedious and long. She cannot stand his snoring, 'cause he's sleeping all day long. I have been competing with a DJ, but I think that I am in the lead. He cannot replicate real music, 'cause human life won't be replaced by USBs.
Woke up and the toilet was overflowing. Must call the plumber. Realised the kids needed swimming lessons as it's all got out of control. Luckily the old windows gave out, so we all floated outside. Must get on to the glazers. And now the garden looks atrocious. Now what was the number for that landscaper?
Because you never know when a potential customer needs you, get yourself listed in your local flyer, the local business directory. Your local flyer, bringing businesses to your fingertips.
So close the door behind you.
Hi, I am your host, Jimmy James Jones, and I am giving away 2 VIP tickets to the final show of Spotlight, where you will get backstage access, VIP seats, and a chance to meet and greet X Factor semi-finalist Rough Copy. For your chance to win, go to newmoneyrecordings.com and enter your name into the prize draw. Winners will be announced when voted for the competition closes. Go online for more details, and you get a chance to meet me too. So good luck!
I'm never gonna shut you out. Everywhere we're looking at, I'm surrounded by your embrace.
Okay, that was Competing with a DJ from Leo Sayre's new album, and we rejoin Leo. Well, tell us a little bit about that song.
Well, it's not about a radio DJ. That's what I was going to say.
Good.
There is a song about a radio DJ, and it's called The Radio Song, which is further up the
It's
album.
number 10. I'll play that at the end.
Thank you very much. Competing with a DJ is about, when you go and do all these gigs, and maybe your agent kind of, this is from an artist's point of view or a band's point of view, and your agent kind of says, well, actually, they're not going to use a band, they're going to use a DJ. And you think to yourself, well, crikey, all this guy does is waltz in with a box of bloody records or a USB stick, sets up something on, he's got a load of lights, but he basically doesn't have to do any sweat,
No.
Meanwhile, we go in, and it's a bunch of guys, it's a band, you physically got to get all the equipment there, or else you hire roadies to do it. Most people can't afford to hire too many roadies. It's not all like Coldplay, and you're kind of... You go there, I was imagining a scenario, you go there with your girlfriend, and she's really impressed with the DJ because he comes off stage after a cracking set, doesn't even break sweat. And meanwhile, when you're at the end of the gig, when he's going to hang around checking out what you're doing and still looking really cool with your girlfriend, the girlfriend turns around, are we going? She says, and you can't because you've got to pack up all the gear. So... I thought it came out a bit like a comedy, really, but it is kind of, it's got a bit of reality to it, and the final line which says, human life won't be replaced by USBs, kind of says everything about the war from real musicians against computers. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand. I must admit, I like the electro music as well. You know, the likes of Pet Shop Boys.
Oh, me too. No, I love it.
But
the
there's nothing
dichotomy
better.
of what I do and what they do.
Yeah, it's different.
It's kind of really funny when people see. People talk to me. I mean, I had all my mates say to me about, "Oh my God, Kanye West on Glastonbury." You know, what was that all about? And I'm just thinking, well, it's actually a completely different business to what I do. I wouldn't even have a comment on it because it's another kind of.
Yeah,
but it's not even the same music scene.
It does.
So
it does lack a little bit
of. Together, you can't compare.
To me, it lacks a bit of soul. I'll be honest with you. I've seen the Pet Shop Boys.
Here's the danger. See, as soon as you do try and put it in the same arena, which obviously Glastonbury wanted to do because it would be controversial and everybody be talking about it, you're into trouble. You're really into trouble. You can't compare Tupac with Jimi Hendrix. Sorry.
No, that's true. But the interesting, the bloke that pulled the biggest audience that night at Glastonbury was none other than Lionel Richie.
Well, yeah.
Which was great.
And I would actually kind of even contest that the Who had pretty much a fantastic following as well.
Well, I agree. Though I did actually see them, and they were brilliant. Neil, let's go back. How did you first get going in the music business?
Well, I was a graphic designer, and I'd sort of studied art at school, and then at art school rather, and I found myself kind of getting into graphics and design and illustration because basically you had to have a commercial job or you couldn't just make money as an artist. So I ended up doing a lot of record covers, and I was always around the music industry. And I played harmonica in blues bands. I guess I shared a stage with people like Jack Bruce and Ginger Baker and Keith Richards and all of that bunch for the Rolling Stones, you know, in the early days. I never ever thought that I'd be taking it seriously and doing music, but I think that the way my career in graphic design went, which was pretty bloody awful, led me more towards kind of joining up with bands. The funny thing is, by that time I'd done record covers for Bob Marley and Humble Pie and bands like that, you know, and so I knew a bit about the biz. I wasn't quite prepared for the fact that, you know, you get ripped off almost the first day that you get into it. But that's how I got into it. And I went to an audition down in Brighton with my band, and we thought we were pretty good. We'd kind of come second in the local Melody Maker Battle of the Bands contest. And so a few weeks later, you know, feeling a bit chipper, we go down to this concert, and the guy who was holding the audition was David Courtney, and David Courtney ended up being my co-writer of the first first two albums of my life, and then later on producing me. We've been friends forever, and we've written lots of songs over the years together. But David kind of saw my talent, I think, and said that he wanted to write songs. He also had a conduit into a friend called Adam Faith, who was a manager. Of course, he was playing Budgie at the time.
Oh, yeah, I remember it well.
TV. Yeah, if anybody remembers that. And he was doing all these movies like Stardust and things like that, and That Will Be the Day, and he was obviously box office. That really helped me get there very quickly. We recorded the first album with Adam producing, and you know, his chutzpah kind of really opened the doors. So you know, I was off on the way to immediate hits. And that's all thanks to that connection. So when it actually, although I've been waiting around a long time, which is probably where songs like Restless Years come from, you know, when it happened really quickly.
I tell you what, I remember the first time I saw you dressed up as a clown, a Pierrot clown.
That's right, the Pierrot, on Top of the Pops.
And I think that probably...
That was like the second single.
Yeah.
That's the one that really broke it out. And I suppose before that, the other major thing was, you know, writing an album full of songs for Roger Daltrey.
Oh.
And of course, you know, Roger kind of, you know, sung my praises, so everybody wanted to know who was the guy who wrote the songs for Roger Daltrey, and there he was. He had his own record, so it was very kind of, all these things really helped, you know, that you know, it helps you launch when a career, when you've got these wonderful friends like Adam Faith and Roger Daltrey.
Yeah. I mean, it was an iconic image on Top of the Pops, and I think, you know, it's one you're never going to get away from. It's going to be one of those ones that's going to be...
No, and it's fine. I mean,
great,
I just vowed that after doing it for a year, I would never do it again.
No.
And there have been a few people through my career saying, you know, you always get these Mr. fix-it types, you know, who come along and they see that you're not very current at the moment. They don't realise that you're quite happy and you're biding your time, but still they kind of come in and say, you know what you should do? You should go back to performing as a hero. That'll do it. And you think, why would I go backwards?
That's 40 years ago.
Like me, we never liked going backwards.
No.
So I've done it, and I'm very proud of it. And it's, you know, that album is still very much loved. And I've got to say that copies of the Silverbird album with the clown on it change hands for large amounts of money. So it's quite a collector's item in a way. It's quite iconic, you know.
Hope you've got a shed full of them then.
I have I found a website in Europe and I've been buying them. I've got
Good
about
for you.
5 copies now, and at least then, because there's plenty of times you're always doing best-ofs, and somebody says, we need to show the cover of Silver. So I say, okay, I'll lend you one. It never comes back.
No, if you lent me one, it wouldn't come back, I can assure you. So,
I've got some copies to fall back on.
Yeah, well, it's always your pension as well, isn't it? Good for you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, I've got a long legacy now in music. I mean, you know, what is it, 28 top 10 hits in the UK, something like that.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, really.
It's great. I mean, it's a 43-year career. It's you know, it's not to be knocked, is it, by any means, you know?
No, I'm very lucky, but also I do think it's because we tried to make really bloody good records, especially in those early days.
Well,
and it's the way that they've stood the test of time. I mean, One Man Band and Show Must Go On and Long Tall Glasses, they still sound great on radio. And, you know, think of those records are 42 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I had this CD sent to me about a week ago, and my mother came to visit me last week, and she saw it on my coffee table. She said, "Oh, I like Leo Sayer." I said, "Well, keep your fingers off that. You're not having it." And so my mum was, you know, I was quite surprised. My mum's in her 70s, and so she's a big fan. So that's good.
Fantastic. She's only 3 years older than me, of course.
Oh, well, yeah. No, well, she's over 70. I won't give away age too late.
No, all right. No,
I'm probably in trouble for saying that, really, but never mind. So,
no, but that's good. You know, Adam Faith said something to me really early in my career that kind of really rung a bell, as it were, made a resonance. He said, because I said to him, what is fame? And he said, being popular from 6 to 60.
Yeah, I think.
And when you think about it, that is it. You know, I've made records for kids. You know, I've been with the Muppets and Sesame Street. You know, I've done all of that side. And now I'm very happy that people who really know a lot about, you know, music and life are all fans of mine. You know, so it's nice appealing to. You know, when you get to this age of wisdom that I'm at the minute, you appreciate that people who actually would give you the time of day at this age are to be valued, because by this time you've lived an incredible life and you've built up some incredible heroes, and I'm always honoured to think that I might be competing with Lennon and Dylan and Marley and people like that, you know, for their attention. And so that means I've done something worthwhile for me anyway.
So who inspires you, or who inspired you in the music business?
Well, Bob Dylan at first.
Bob Dylan?
Because I just loved his chutzpah, and I loved the fact that I was always a nomadic type. I was ready to run out the door at any time when I was a kid and go travelling, living rough, you know, on the street. So the romanticism, I think, of, you know, there was this guy in the 60s called Jack Kerouac who, you know, wrote this kind of stream of consciousness kind of thing about going on the road and just travelling, and the railway carriage or the bus shelter is your home. And I think that kind of struck a chord with a lot of us who had this wanderlust, you know. And Bob Dylan was the voice of that.
Yeah.
He was the voice of that.
Free spirit.
That idea that we could all be free and that we could, you know, kind of like not be dictated to by the old people. You know, he did a very famous press conference when someone asked him a very difficult question, you know, and he turned around and he said, "How old are you?" And the guy said, 26. And he said, "Well, you don't understand then."
Wow.
So that person was too old for him. So I like that kind of rebellious thing, and I think that of course, Bob Dylan is a poet. He's the Shakespeare of music, and you know, to study his music, you will always keep learning from. So I guess still Dylan is an icon for me today.
So if I was offering you somebody to work or sing with on stage, would it be Bob Dylan? Or would you...
Yeah, if there was a Bob Dylan song, I could nail that. Or Van Morrison or someone like that. Yeah, those are the kind of guys that
you'd like to work with
I look up to.
So you'd like to work with both Bob Dylan and Van Morrison?
Yeah, Yeah, I bumped into Bob Dylan once.
Did you?
I literally bumped. I mean, you know, the funny thing was, I'd always wanted to meet him, and there was a famous record producer called Jerry Wexler who did Aretha Franklin and all these wonderful records. He was a producer.